Oh, hello, students. This is video number 3 in the substance abuse group set of videos that I'm doing for Professor Whitsitt. There are things that I forgot in the other 2 videos, and so I wanted to add these things. Number 1, motivational interviewing and stages of change model. Almost everyone in addiction treatment have been exposed to these. And the stages of change model is, once you know it, it's like you've always known it, because it's really explanatory. It really explains where people are in admitting or knowing, acknowledging that they might have a problem and then beginning to do something about it. The stages of change model was by Prochaska, DiClemente, and Norcross. And I heard Norcross speak about the stages of change, and he said the whole point of the model is for you to be able to see where your client is, where the person is in the stages of change. And then you adapt your work to where they are. And then motivational interviewing is a method with empathy, compassion, and non-judgment to help people move from one stage to another. Larry Schulman, who wrote the book Skills of Helping, that we've used quite a lot in classes at USC, in group work, he cautions us that you don't do any healing or curing. You, as the leader of the group, you facilitate. He says that we create the conditions in which people can heal. And that's our job, to keep a safe environment and to keep the dynamic, keep the flow of the group going so that people have a chance to work through whatever they need to work through and get support for change. Gender groups, it's my opinion that it would be better for men and women to be separate in treatment. Not everybody agrees with that. At GADS, we have mixed groups all the time, except there is a women's group 1 time a week, and there is a men's group 1 time a week. I think it's better. It helps to have gender-specific groups, because then people aren't hitting on each other and distracting from treatment. It can easily be a reenactment of prior sexual abuse, or a way to avoid actually the work of treatment. Confrontation as a technique. If you work in substance abuse treatment, you'll find that many of the counselors, it's a philosophy of needing to confront the person about their denial and their avoidance. Sometimes that confrontation can be strong, sometimes it can be useful. I think if you strongly confront someone, what you do is raise their defenses, you strengthen their defenses. And I don't think that works very well. But I think you can be confrontational in an empathic, compassionate, good-natured way. Let me give you an example. I sat next to Mike in family group. His girlfriend was across the room, across the circle. And it's his turn to talk in the group, and he's just relapsed 2 days earlier on heroin. And the program director of our group, of our treatment facility, now wants Mike to go to day treatment instead of outpatient, which is more intensive treatment. And he says, no, I have to go to work, I have to make money, I've been out of work so long. And he's talking to his girlfriend about it in the group. Excuse me. I'm sitting next to him, and he's saying to her, I'm not trying to do it my own way, but I said, yes, you are. And he says, well, maybe I am. And then he put the decision up to her, and then he continued. He went to day treatment, and now it's 2 weeks later, and I'll give you another good example of what happened to them in group. Typical group member, the know-it-all. This is a person, maybe young, maybe old. They know more than you, or they pretend that they do. And I know it's a defense, and it's a defensive posture to avoid the pain of admitting that they have a problem and being humbled by that. But it just bothers me. It's one group member that will bring up for me countertransference, and I'm sure that I should probably examine this, but it just really bothers me. And it brings me to countertransference. I think you will have countertransference your entire career. And part of what you do is learn how to manage it, because it's always there. What I do with my countertransference is talk to a peer about it, like the other clinical supervisor, the other family therapists. And there's countertransference, which is your emotional reaction to what a person is saying in the group. But there's also the human response of, this guy really may be obnoxious, which is his way of probably of keeping distance so that he can continue to have his avoidant attachment style. So we're managing countertransference, and sometimes they bring up my own issues, which I have to, and they'll bring up your issues too, because they will push your buttons because that's what they do, and it's good for you to be able to manage that in some way. Family disparity, and working with families, family members come in at a different place than the person who's the addict alcoholic. Okay, so someone comes to treatment, they've been there for a few days, they detox, they feel optimistic, they feel hopeful, they feel good because they've been with their peers in the groups. They feel like they're getting somewhere and doing the work of the groups. Family members come in and they're still in the state of helplessness, hopelessness, probably anger, resentment, fear. And so you see the family members being in these two different places, and you help facilitate them getting on the same page and being able to communicate that without blaming, shaming, or criticism. One couple, I did individual couple work with them, and she was so angry and mistrustful, didn't know whether she was going to leave him or not, and he's all cheerful, and I reflected back to her what I thought she might be feeling, the resentment, anger, and fear, and she thought I was psychic. No, really, I could just see it in her face and in her body language. I want to say something about congruence. Satir taught about congruence. That's where what a person says, what they think, what they feel, and their behavior all lines up. Mike's girlfriend in an earlier group said to him, it was his first group, his first family group, and he was apologizing to her for all of the hell that he put her through using heroin and alcohol. When it was her time to talk, lovely fellow too, Mike. When it was her time to talk, she says to him, "I'm not buying drugs or alcohol for you ever again." And then he started to talk and respond to her, and I stopped him. "Hold on a minute, Mike." And I went back to her and focused on her, because in that moment you could see by the language that she used and her body language that she was completely congruent. So I made a comment about that and congratulated her. The group gave her some positive feedback. It was just really very dynamic, and I wanted to treasure that moment. Then I said to Mike, sometimes I interrupt you because sometimes you're talking away from the issue instead of talking about the issue. And he accepted that. But congruence is really our focus, and that's really what you want in any kind of group, is to help people be congruent. Let me see. I think that's pretty much my examples. Congruence. Mike stayed in treatment. He's now stepping down to continuing care. Their relationship is much stronger. I was in group with them this past Saturday. Their relationship is quite strong. Her boundaries are very strong. She's also gone to Al-Anon. She looks different as you go through week by week. She looks different. And the way I said it to her is, you look taller to me. You just seem taller. So we laughed about that. And I think they were talking about him buying her shoes. And she was worried about that because it seemed like shopping was old behavior. But they came to an agreement that, yes, he could buy her shoes because she likes that anyway. So those are my examples. Those are my things I forgot. And I hope all of this is useful to you. These videos are on YouTube if you wish. Take care of yourselves. Good luck in your careers. Bye for now.